Dear students, welcome to the SDK Health Sciences Biochemistry classes. Today our topic is electron transport chain. First of all, let me give you a brief review of the metabolism and bioenergetics. So we know that metabolism is the sum of all highly organized chemical reactions that take place in an organism or human body. Now, what is the role of the metabolism? The role of the metabolism is to capture chemical energy from the food stuff as ATP. Now, what is the role of ATP? The ATP are used for cellular and organ functions. So, respiratory function, cardiovascular function, and neurological function, active transport. So all these functions use ATP as a source of energy. Now, what is bioenergetics? Bioenergetics is the study of energy changes accompanying biochemical reactions. So during the reactions, the change of energy is known as bioenergetics. And we know from our previous knowledge that a reaction may be an endergonic reaction or exergonic reaction. Exergonic reaction or endergonic reaction. Human being can generate ATP by oxidizing carbohydrate, fatty acids and amino acids. So carbohydrate, fatty acid, amino acids, and they are oxidized, and once they are oxidized they generate ATP. This is adenine, which is a nitrogenous base attached to a 5 carbon sugar ribose attached to 3-phosphate. The two outer phosphates are high energy phosphates. High energy phosphates. Like the release of this or the addition of this at least needs 7.3 kilocalorie. So release of this will give us 7.3 kilocalorie. The release of this will give us 7.3 kilocalorie. So these two are the high energy phosphates. ATP is formed by the process of phosphorylation. So this is adenine ribose with the 2 phosphates. So this is ADP. ADP is attached with inorganic phosphate with the release of a water molecule, and then it forms ATP. And this process of addition of inorganic phosphate to the ADP with the help of enzyme ATP synthase to form ATP is known as phosphorylation. Phosphorylation. We know that phosphorylation is of two types. Number one is substrate level phosphorylation. Number two is oxidative phosphorylation. Substrate level phosphorylation took place at the site of reaction, whereas oxidative phosphorylation took place in inner mitochondria in the electron transport chain. So substrate level phosphorylation, a high energy bond is formed in the substrate while being oxidized. So during the reaction, ATP is generated at the expense of high energy bond. Say for example 1,3-bis-phosphoglycerate. So this 1-phosphate will attach to this ADP with the help of enzyme phosphoglycerate kinase, and 1 ATP molecule is synthesized with the product of 3-phosphoglycerate. Similarly, phosphoenol pyruvate, phosphate of this compound will attach to ADP to form enol pyruvate with the ATP with the help of enzyme pyruvate kinase. These reaction where the ATP is synthesized at the site of reaction is known as substrate level phosphorylation. So 1,3-bis phosphoglycerate, this is position 1, this is position 3, this position 1 phosphate comes and attached to ADP, will form ATP, then 3-phosphoglycerate, and then with the help of enzyme phosphoglycerate kinase, this is ATP. Similarly, phosphoenol pyruvate, we have this phosphate will come and attach to this ADP, ATP is synthesized with the help of enzyme pyruvate kinase, and we have pyruvate or enol pyruvate. So these are the example of substrate level phosphorylation. The other type of the phosphorylation is oxidative phosphorylation that took place in electron transport chain. It is also known as the respiratory chain, which is present in the mitochondria. The oxidative phosphorylation is a process by which ATP is formed with the help of the electron transferred from NADH or FADH2 to oxygen with the help of electron carriers, with the series of electron carriers. These carriers, they are carried out with this function of the carrier is carried out by the function of enzymes, and the electron carriers, they are located within the inner mitochondrial membrane. So this is mitochondria, this is inner mitochondria. The crusty of the inner mitochondria, these carriers are situated. These are responsible for the transfer of electrons from more electronegative, say for example NADH, to more electropositive, that is oxygen. This mechanism, this place is called electron transport chain or respiratory chain. Because oxygen is involved, so we call it a respiratory chain. Example, succinate is converted into fumarate, and FAD is converted into FADH2. The 2 hydrogen, this is reduced form, it will be oxidized to FAD. Then these 2 hydrogen will enter into the mitochondria with the release of energy, and this energy will help in the addition of inorganic phosphate to the ATP, and this process is called phosphorylation with the formation of ATP. So what happened here? Carbohydrate, fat, proteins, they are catabolized, releases the energy, and it releases the hydrogen, and then these hydrogens are captured by the reducing equivalents, reducing coenzymes. They reduce the enzymes. So these reduced coenzymes like NADH and FADH2, they are present in the form of a redox pair. NAD, NADH2, FAD, FADH2, FADH2. They are called redox pairs. So they are present in the form of redox pairs. We will discuss the redox pairs in a few seconds. These reducing equivalents, they will transfer the hydrogen to electron transport chain, where they will move in the electron transport chain, generate the energy, and this energy will cause the addition of inorganic phosphate to the ADP to make ATP. This mechanism is called oxidative phosphorylation. These are the redox pairs. NADH with NAD. NADH is reduced, NAD is oxidized. Oxidation, this is the loss of hydrogen. Whereas FMN is oxidized and FMNH2 is reduced. So these are called redox pair. Redox pair. What is the electron transport chain? So first of all, we will see the complexes of the electron transport chain. Let's see the complexes of the electron transport chain. We have 4 complexes basically in electron transport chain. Number 1, complex 1, complex 2, complex 3, complex 4. So complex 1, complex 2, complex 3 and complex 4. Fifth complex is ATP synthase. The electron transport chain is comprised of some fixed elements and some mobile elements. Complex 1, complex 3 and 4, they are fixed, whereas coenzyme Q, ubiquinone, is also called ubiquinone, and cytochrome C, they are mobile. Complex 1, complex 3, complex 4, even complex 2, they are fixed, whereas coenzyme Q and cytochrome C, they are mobile. The electron transport chain is comprised of two components. One, they are called cytochromes. They are cytochrome C, cytochrome C1, cytochrome B, and cytochrome AA3. They are called cytochrome C, cytochrome C1, cytochrome B, cytochrome AA3. In addition to the cytochrome, the electron transport chain have the entry of NADH, the hydrogen of NADH, and then coenzyme Q. Coenzyme Q is called ubiquinone, ubiquitous enzyme, present everywhere in the body. The sequence of the complex are such that complex 1 and complex 3 and complex 2, they are connected with each other with the help of enzyme coenzyme Q. So complex 1, complex 2, the whole is complex 2, and then this complex 3, they are connected with each other with the coenzyme Q. And the enzyme here is NADHQ oxidoreductase. Complex 3, which connected with the complex 4 with the help of enzyme cytochrome C. And the enzyme is complex Q cytochrome C oxidoreductase. And then complex 4, which is cytochrome AA3, the enzyme is cytochrome oxidase. So cytochrome C connected with the complex 4. So the connection is such, let me repeat it again for you. Complex 1, complex 2 and complex 3, they are connected with the coenzyme Q. 3 is connected with the 4 with the help of cytochrome C. Q and cytochrome C, they are the mobile unit. 1, 3, 4 and 2, they are the fixed unit. What are the functions of the electron transport chain? During the transfer of hydrogen or electrons along the components of the electron transport chain, free energy is lost. Part of this energy is utilized for the formation of ATP, and part of this energy is released as free, which maintain the body temperature. So during the transfer of electron, energy is released. Part of it is captured in the form of ATP. Part of it is released as heat to maintain the normal body temperature. The electron carriers in the electron transport chain, they transfer the electron not directly to the oxygen, but they transfer the electron with the help of coenzymes. And there are two sites of entry of the electrons to the electron transport chain. One is through the NAD, another through the FAD. And both coenzymes are dehydrogenase enzyme. So succinate, so say for example, complex 1 NAD, NADH and NAD. This is NAD coenzyme Q oxidoreductase enzyme. The hydrogen is given to complex number 1 complex number 1 is FMN and FES. Then the electron are transferred to complex number 1, and then this FES will transfer these electron to coenzyme Q, and then from the coenzyme Q it goes to cytochrome, the complex number 3, which is cytochrome B, iron sulfate, and cytochrome C1, and then from cytochrome C1 to cytochrome C, and then from cytochrome C to complex 4, which is cytochrome AA3, and from here the electron will move out, the proton will be taken from the matrix, and it may, oxygen is already present here, and it make water molecule. So complex 1 cytochrome NADH-Q oxidoreductase, complex 3 Q cytochrome C oxidoreductase, complex 4 cytochrome C oxidase, and complex 2 succinate reductase. Succinate will convert into fumarate, FAD will convert into FADH2, and then FADH to FES, and then it will come to connect with the coenzyme Q. So NADH will enter into the complex 1 and it will move forward. However, FADH will enter into the complex 2 and it will move from here. Let me explain to you in a different way. So this is complex 1, FMN, FES, NADH. Hydrogen will be released, electron will go because NADH contains hydride ion. So FMN, from FMN to FES, and then from FES to coenzyme Q, from coenzyme Q to cytochrome B and cytochrome C1, from cytochrome C1 to cytochrome C, then from cytochrome C to cytochrome A and A3, and then the electron will be released, and then hydrogen from this matrix, mitochondrial matrix, will add each other with the oxygen molecule to make water molecule. This site is the inner mitochondrial, this is the mitochondrial matrix, this is the inner mitochondrial membrane, and this is the intermembrane space. This is the inner mitochondrial membrane, and then there will be outer mitochondrial membrane. So this is the intermembrane space. What happened at complex number 1? When electron is shifted, the hydrogen are pumped. So complex number 1 pump hydrogen into the intermembrane space from the matrix to the intermembrane space. Similarly, the complex 3 also pump hydrogen from the matrix to the intermembrane space. And similarly, the complex 4 also pump the hydrogen from the matrix to the intermembrane space. Complex 1 pumps 4 hydrogen, complex 3 pumps 4 hydrogen, complex 4 pump 2 hydrogen. In total 10 hydrogen they are pumped into the intermembrane space. And electron is moving in the enzyme system, in the electron carriers. The redox pair have standard reduction potential. And what is this standard reduction potential? Like as we saw in the previous slide, redox pair are NAD, NADH, FMN, FMNH2, FMN, FMNH2. These are the redox pairs. And they have a standard reduction potential. So what is this standard reduction potential? It is the tendency of a redox pair to lose electron. It varies from one redox pair to another redox pair, and it is expressed as volts. So, the more negative is the redox potential of a redox pair, the greater the tendency to reduce the member of that pair. Mana that it will have the greater tendency to lose electron. The more positive is the redox potential of the redox pair, the greater the tendency to be oxidized of that pair to accept electron. So the more negative, lose electron, the more positive, accept electron. This reduce, oxidized. Therefore, electron flows from the pair with the more electronegative to more electropositive. This means that it will move from NADH to oxygen. So electron with the proton, and at the end of the day they combine with oxygen to make water molecule. If you see the reduction potential from NAD, so more electronegative, it goes down to more electropositive like this. That's why the movement of the electron in this direction. If you see the FAD, which is complex 2, it enters at the ubiquinone coenzyme Q level. So it has to move like this. It cannot go like this and then come back again. So they are moving from the more electronegative to the electropositive. The chemoosmotic theory, it is the theory which says that in the electron transport chain, ATP is the formation of the ATP is dependent on the capacity of the translocation of hydrogen ion, that is the proton, from inside to the outside of the inner mitochondrial membrane. And this electrochemical, so when the hydrogen ion, they are pumped out from the matrix to the intermembrane space, an electrochemical gradient, a potential difference is created. And this is asymmetric distribution of the hydrogen ion. So when there is an asymmetric distribution of the hydrogen ion and a potential gradient is developed across the membrane, so this in turn drive the mechanism of the formation of ATP. So it will look like this. Say for example, complex 1 will pump. So this is the matrix. This is matrix. And this is outside of the intermembrane space. So complex 1 will pump hydrogen outside. So more hydrogen in the intermembrane space. Complex 3 will pump hydrogen, more hydrogen in the intermembrane space. Complex 4 will pump hydrogen, more hydrogen in the intermembrane space. And when hydrogen is outside more and inside less, so there will be a gradient. This gradient is called electrical gradient as well as the chemical gradient. That's why we call it electrochemical gradient. This gradient will push the hydrogen through the complex 5, which is F0F1 complex. And this complex is an enzyme. This complex contains an enzyme which is called ATP synthase. So these hydrogen will fall back due to this gradient and hit the ATP synthase and stimulate the ATP synthase. So when ATP synthase is stimulated, it will cause the combination of inorganic phosphate with the ADP, and it will make ATP. This theory, this mechanism of pumping of hydrogen from the matrix to the intermembrane space and in the result the formation of a gradient, electrochemical gradient, and then with that electromotive force of the electrochemical gradient which pushes the hydrogen through F0F1 complex to stimulate the ATP synthase, which causes the addition of inorganic phosphate with the ADP to make ATP, is called chemiosmotic theory. Chemiosmotic theory. Chemiosmotic theory. Here I would like to mention one more point, that there are three areas where this much energy is liberated during the reaction that an ADP is converted into ATP. So that is at the complex 1, complex 3 and complex 4 level. Complex 3, complex 1, complex 2 and complex 4 level. That's why when NADH enter into the complex 1, so NADH will attain all the three levels. That's why NADH, 1 NADH will give us 3 ATP, whereas as FADH enter into the coenzyme Q, and we know that the electron will move from negative to positive, so it will move from here to here. So FADH2 will attain 2 energy level. That's why FADH2 will give us 2 ATP. I hope it's clear now. So let me explain to you the chemoosmotic theory. Say for example, this is complex 1, this is complex 2, this is complex 3, this is complex 4, and here is the complex 5. So hydrogen will move from here. This is matrix, this is intermembrane space. So hydrogen will move from here, too much hydrogen here. Then complex 3, complex 2 cannot move hydrogen. Complex 3, 4 hydrogen, too much hydrogen here. And then complex 4, 2 hydrogen. So too much hydrogen is here. So outside hydrogens are more, inside the hydrogen are less. And this force, this gradient across the cell membrane is called electrochemical gradient, and this electrochemical gradient created an electromotive force, and then this electromotive force will push this hydrogen through the F0F1 complex. This is F0F1 complex, which is called complex 5, and then it will stimulate ATP synthase, which is the enzyme that causes the addition of ADP in inorganic phosphate to make ATP. This mechanism is called chemiosmotic hypothesis. Or chemiosmotic theory. So what will happen here? NADH and FADH2, they are present by the TCA cycle or beta oxidation. They donate their electron to electron transport chain. Electron flows in the electron transport chain. Simultaneously, the proton are pumped out from the matrix to the intermitochondrial membrane, and then an electrical and pH gradient is generated across the cell membrane, and this will push the hydrogen, this will push the proton to re-enter into the mitochondrial matrix through the F0F1 complex. This will stimulate the ATP synthase, and then ATP synthase, once it is stimulated, it will cause the formation of ATP from ADP, and it causes the addition of adherence of inorganic phosphate to the ADP to make ATP. There is some mechanism which we call it uncouplers or uncoupling mechanism, and they are present in the inner mitochondrial membrane of the mammals, including humans. And what is the job of these uncouplers and uncoupling proteins? They create proton leak. That is, they allow the proton to re-enter into the mitochondrial matrix without capturing energy in the form of ATP. So energy is released as heat. As we discussed in the previous session, that the hydrogen, they are pumped out from the matrix to the intermembrane space. So we are pushing hydrogen from in to out. But if there is another protein which will bringing hydrogen into the matrix, then it will not maintain the electrochemical gradient. So when the electrochemical gradient is not maintained, so the hydrogen will not fall back on ATP synthase, and ATP will not attach with the inorganic phosphate, and there will be no formation of ATP. This mechanism is called uncoupling mechanism, and it is done by the uncouplers. UCP1 thermogenin activates fatty acid oxidation and heat production in the brown adipose tissue in the mammals. It wastes 90% of its respiratory energy through thermogenesis in response to cold at birth and during arousal in hibernating animals. However, humans have very little brown fat except in the newborns. Some of the uncouplers are there, say for example 2,4-dinitrophenol, thyroxine hormone, and brown adipose tissue. Thyroxine hormone is synthesized from thyroid gland. That's why those people, they have a hyperthyroidism. So in addition to the increased basal metabolic rate, these people have this uncoupling mechanism as well. So oxidation will go, but there will be no phosphorylation, and then these people will be heat intolerant. Too much heat. They will be having too much heat, and in cold weather they will not wear any extra garments. So this is the mechanism of uncoupling. Let me explain to you. This is the intermembrane space. This is matrix. Hydrogen, we push hydrogen from different complexes, complex 1, complex 3, complex 4. The hydrogen is pumping out. Too much hydrogen should be in the intermembrane space. So then this hydrogen will come back to the F0 F1 complex, and then ADP will be converted into ATP. But if there is an abnormal protein which will allow the entrance of hydrogen from other sides, so this gradient will not be maintained and phosphorylation will not take place, because oxidation and phosphorylation, this is oxidation, it is a coupled mechanism with the phosphorylation, ADP to ATP, because oxidation is a coupled mechanism. So if there is an uncouplers are there, so there will be only oxidation which will produce energy in the form of heat, and then the body temperature will increase. Thyroid hormone is called physiological uncoupler. Thyroid hormone is known as physiological uncoupler. There are some inhibitors of the electron transport chain. The inhibitors, they prevent the passage of electrons by binding to the component of the chain and blocking the oxidation reduction reactions directly. Direct binding to the electron components and then block the oxidation reduction, because the electron transport and oxidative phosphorylation are tightly coupled. So when there is an inhibition of the electron transport chain, it also inhibits the ATP synthesis. So say for example, complex 1 is blocked by rotenone, complex 2 is blocked by malonate, complex 3 is blocked by antimycin A, complex 4 is blocked by cyanide and carbon monoxide, and complex 5, ATP synthase, is inhibited by oligomycin. So complex 1 inhibited by rotenone, complex 2 malonate, complex 3 antimycin A, complex 4 cyanide and carbon monoxide, and complex 5 oligomycin. The uncouplers, 2,4-dinitrophenol, and then physiological uncoupler is thyroid hormone and brown fat. Let me explain this to you in this way. This is complex 1, complex 1. NADH will give 2 hydrogen to FMN. FMN will be this is reduced, it will oxidize to NAD, and FMN which was reduced will be oxidized, it will be reduced. Then this FMNH2 will give 2 hydrogen to coenzyme Q, which was oxidized, it will be reduced. And then from here coenzyme QH2 with the cytochrome B and C1, this hydrogen will go into the matrix and electron will move from ferric to ferrous, and then here this ferrous will give 2 electron to this ferric component of the cytochrome C. It will be converted into ferrous form. Then from here it will give electron to cytochrome A iron, and then it will convert into ferrous form. And last but not the least, the electron will go to the oxygen and proton will come from the matrix and it will make water molecule. As we know that complex 1 pump hydrogen from the matrix to the intermembrane space. Complex 3 pump hydrogen from the matrix to the intermembrane space. It will pump here, it will pump here, and then cytochrome AA3 complex 4 also pump hydrogen into the intermembrane space. So there will be too much hydrogen gradient will be formed, and then this hydrogen will fall back through the F1 complex, which will stimulate ATP synthase, and then ATP synthase will cause the addition of ADP with the inorganic phosphate to make ATP. This enzyme ATP synthase is blocked by oligomycin. So complex 1 is blocked by rotenone. Complex 3 cytochrome oxidase, cytochrome Q enzyme cytochrome C oxidoreductase is blocked by antimycin. And then complex 4, which is cytochrome AA3 cytochrome oxidase, it is blocked with the help of cyanide and carbon monoxide. Complex 2, the succinate to fumarate, then this enzyme succinate dehydrogenase is blocked with the help of malonate. As we discussed earlier, that there are 3 levels of the high energy bonds. High energy is released where ADP is converted into ADP. ADP is converted into ATP. So this is complex 1, then complex 3, and then complex 4. So NAD enter into the complex 1, and it attain all the 3 levels, whereas FAD enter at the complex 2 level, so it attain only 2 energy levels. So these are the inhibitors, direct inhibitors, and then as we saw in the previous session that there are uncouplers, and uncouplers are the proteins which pump the hydrogen from the other side to the intermembrane space. In the complexes of the electron transport chain, complex 1, complex 3 and complex 4, they are pumping hydrogen from the matrix to the intermembrane space in order to create a gradient which will push back hydrogen on through the F0 F1 complex ATP synthase and causes the phosphorylation. But if there are uncouplers proteins, then this uncoupler protein or some medicine like 2,4-dinitrophenol will pump hydrogen from the other side into the matrix. So when they pump hydrogen from the outer side into the matrix, so they will disturb this gradient. So when the gradient is not formed, when there is no gradient, so hydrogen will not fall back, and then ADP will not combine with the inorganic phosphate, and there will be no formation of the ATP. So this mechanism is called uncoupling mechanism, as we saw in the previous slide. I hope students it will be clear now, and if there is any comment or any feedback, we will appreciate your comment and feedback. Thank you very much and best of luck.